Hello, this is Veterans News, a production of the United Veterans Organization of Nassau County. My name is Ed Allman. I want to thank Altice USA for providing the training for our crew and for the use of their studio facilities here in Hauppauge. The show is broadcast Mondays at 7:30 on Channel 20 and Fridays at 5 p.m. on Channel 115, both on Cablevision. Also at various times of the day in North Hempstead, Melville, and Lynbrook. The show is also seen on Verizon. I would like to thank Lynbrook's Mayor William J. Hendrick and Malvern's Mayor Pat McDonald and the town of the town of North Hempstead Supervisor Judy Bosworth for broadcasting this show on their government access cable channels. Most of all, I'd like to thank our crew. On camera 1, Jim Hessler. Hello, Jim. Yes. On camera 2, Al Zabrowski. Our sound today is done by Loretta DeBrino. Our floor manager is Beverly Allman, and our technical director is Robert Lane. Most of all, I'd like to thank our director, Al Zabrowski. For your information, if you have a problem hearing Veterans News on your TV, please turn up the volume. Altice tells me they have a problem with the sound. However, you can solve that problem just by turning up the volume. I used to be retired. I used to retire for about 6 years. Before that, I was working for Tom Swazi when he was county executive of Nassau County. Now Tom has been elected to Congress, and I'm back working again as his Veterans Case Manager. So if you have a problem with anything to do with the VA, go to the email address veteransnewsuvo@gmail.com. That's veteransnewsuvo@gmail.com. Okay, our guests today are Captain Jerry Blackwell of the Department of Military Science and Christopher Bursztyn. I said that right, Bursztyn, a student at Hofstra, ROTC. We'll talk to our guest in a few minutes, but first, here's the veterans who died recently. Angelo Sigillo, an Army Air Corps veteran who served with the 1st and 3rd Army Air Corps. Murchini Lo Cristo, an Army veteran who served in the South Pacific. Robert Mitchell, a pilot who fled with the 1st Photo Reconnaissance Group during World War II. Howard Blankman, an Army veteran who served in 1945 in El Paso, Texas. Raymond Richard, a proud World War II veteran. James Hallahan served on the USS Cobbler in the U.S. Navy. Herbert Gilcher served in the U.S. Coast Guard from 1947 to 1950. James Perry was an radar electrician in the U.S. Air Force. Walter Sadowski, a proud Korean veteran. Paul Zoll, a proud veteran of the U.S. Navy during World War II. Angelo Siglio, a proud veteran of World War II who died at 98 years old. Edward Busking was enlisted in the U.S. Navy at the age of 17. Stanley Krumholz died at 96 years old. He manned a 20mm anti-aircraft gun on a PT boat in the Solomon Islands. Marion Polak, that's his name, a proud World War II veteran who served in the Pacific. Thomas Reed, a Battle of the Bulge survivor. And last but not least, Dominic Villani, a former POW of World War II and a member of both the VFW and the American Legion in Oyster Bay. If you know a deceased veteran that would like to hear his name, if you know a deceased veteran who you would like to hear his name mentioned, he or she, as part of the show, just email me at veteransnewsuvo@gmail.com. Okay, that's the end of our veterans. Now it's time for our guests. Welcome, Christopher.
How are you?
Good.
It's an honor to be here.
Captain Blackwell.
Hi. Okay.
Boy, I'm impressed. Here we have one veteran of the reserves and one active duty military man. Let's start with you, Captain Blackwell.
Sure.
What's your background in the Army?
Initially, I came in as enlisted, as an infantryman, and then I went to officer candidate school and became an infantry officer. And since then, I've transitioned to become a civil affairs officer.
Okay.
So, which brought me to where I'm at right now in the ROTC program.
You initially started as in the infantry?
Yes, I did.
Did you go anywhere?
Fort Bragg.
Fort Bragg?
Which is where most of during that time when I was enlisting, you either went to 82nd Airborne Division or you went to 10th Mountain Division, or they no longer exist, but 7th Infantry Division.
Did you end up going overseas at all?
I did, but just to Korea.
Korea?
That was my only overseas dealings that I've had. I was deployed to Panama for Operation Just Cause, and that was just for a couple of days.
Okay. It sounds like you've traveled a bit. Have you had a number of post settings?
Well, as an officer, I actually joined the reserves, and so my post settings was a Special Operations Command South, and that was actually a deployment where I went to various countries such as El Salvador, Dominican Republic, Honduras, and Jamaica.
Really?
Yes.
You're in the reserve now?
Yes, I am in the reserves now.
Okay, what do you do for a living?
Oh, this is what I do full time now. So
Okay.
I am active in the reserves.
Active duty in the reserve.
Yes.
I didn't realize that they had active duty serving in the reserve.
Oh, yes.
Really?
So that's something that we do. They need to have full-time personnel in the reserves to keep everything going, basically keep the train on the tracks. So we provide administrative services, duties while we're working.
What is your day like? I imagine it's not the same as being active duty military.
It's actually about the same.
Really?
It's a little different being a assistant professor of military science in ROTC program, but it's basically the same. He's still tracking personnel and making sure that everything is squared away for the next day's training or the next month's training.
Do you teach any classes?
I do. I teach the MS2 levels. So what they are actually the juniors. So every once in a while, sophomores. So every once in a while I'll help out with the other MS levels. So I may have to fill in and teach the juniors or the freshmen.
What do you teach a young man or women? Do you have women in,
Yes.
in your
yes.
program?
Oh, yes.
What do you teach them?
Leadership. So, and every instructor is a little bit different. What I do, I obviously teach them what the U.S. Army wants them to know, but how I give it to them is through my own experiences, whether they be good or bad, and what I've used that was successful for me, and that's how I basically give them my message or give the information that they need to have to be successful.
What kind of experiences did you have in the service that you share with the students?
Believe it or not, as my time as being an officer, I actually used a lot of time when I was actually active,
Right.
active component, being enlisted. Just leadership challenge and having to deal with people, as I realized early before anybody ever told me that in order to be a good leader, you need to have effective communications. It's great that you have a great plan,
Right.
but if you don't know how to communicate that effectively, then you're just, as they say, you're dead in the water. You're just not going to go anywhere because no one actually understands what their job is. So my points, one of my main points, I say get to know everyone and get to know how they best learn. Some people are hands-on learners. Some people need to read. So when you give your operations orders,
Right.
we have sand tables, so that gives all your people that need to see what's going on, all your hands-on people, that gives them an opportunity to know what's going on with the mission. And then you actually orally give the operations order, which is what we do by our standard operating procedures.
What is a sand table? You said you have a sand table?
Yes, a sand table, which is actually, the first time I saw it, I thought that was the greatest thing in the world. So if you have a mission, whatever your objective is, you actually create the environment that they're going to be going to with roads and streams and hills and valleys and everything. And then everything is marked, the grid lines, and so what's on the map is actually on this table that is made out of sand. I've seen it drawn on dirt, and you could buy sand table kits that have all these little things that you could create it, or you could, if you're out there in the woods, you could take tools and make things out of the MREs. I've seen salt packets and
MREs,
Kool-Aid packets,
what are
meals
MREs?
ready to eat.
Right.
And I've seen people take the cartons and the Kool-Aid packets and make roads and streams, and people are using string, and they do that so everyone could have a picture of what is on the map. So as they're
Right.
going through the mission, now they're able to reference something. They could visualize in their mind what the next step is or what they're going through.
Right. That sounds very good. When I'm thinking of Vietnam a long time ago, we were told to go out and to patrol around an area.
Okay.
But we didn't have any sand table. We had no idea where we were going. Well, we had a map, but that's really sounds good.
That may have been a lesson learned from that.
Yeah.
So when I came into the Army, most of these senior NCOs and senior officers, they were Vietnam veterans. So a lot of the information that I would get, it was lessons learned from them. So I wasn't ever taught how to be a good private. I was taught how to be a good leader. Because they said being a private's easy. You just have to shine your boots.
Right.
And do as you're told. That you don't even have to have a mind to do that, and that's not what we do in the U.S. military. We're all leaders. So if the leaders are gone or
Yeah.
doing something or something happens to them, the mission still has to go on. So that was
Right.
always taught to me from the age of 18 on up.
What was it like being an enlisted man? How long were you enlisted in the military?
I was enlisted about 13, almost 14 years.
14 years.
Yes.
What was your rank when you got out?
I was a master sergeant.
Master sergeant.
Yes.
Very good.
So life wasn't bad. I didn't think it was bad at all.
Uh-huh.
And I guess I was a typical non-commissioned officer, kind of rough around the edges.
Right.
And stayed away from officers. I felt like
Yeah, I
we
know.
didn't-
That.
we
I
didn't-
remember that. Sure.
We didn't either. So I was typical. I mean, I knew all the FMs and the regulations, and I could quote them verbatim.
FM,
and
fleet manual?
Field manuals.
Field
I
manual.
could quote them, and made sure that all my soldiers were taken care of with everything.
Uh-huh.
So the officers wouldn't have to do my job, and they could handle whatever at that time I felt officers did.
And
So.
you went to school, to college?
Yes, I
Were you-
went to school. Basically part-time, this before the internet, so I would turn in my assignments to my professors with camouflage on them, and they'd have all kinds of stuff on them, but they would accept it.
Very
And
good.
that's pretty much how I went through college.
See, I'm glad I didn't talk to you before this session, because I'm hearing some remarkable stuff from you. Very good. Cadet Bursztyn.
How you doing?
Let's talk a little bit. What was your background? Were you in the military?
So I enlisted back in 2012 when I finished high school. I enlisted into the reserves as a horizontal construction engineer at 12 November.
12 November is the
horizontal
MOS?
Yes, that's the MOS.
Okay.
So I enlisted, went to Fort Leonard Wood, was with the combat engineers, and yeah, it was a great time. Came back and joined the reserve unit in Jersey City.
When you were active,
I was always in the reserves.
you were
but
always
I was
in the
basic
reserve.
training at AIT.
So you spent 6 months active, and then you went to the reserve.
Exactly.
Okay. Were you working at the time when you got out? Of,
I actually worked while I was in high school. I worked landscaping, and I taught Taekwondo.
you taught Taekwondo. It's another great. Fine. Very good.
Taught Taekwondo. Started teaching when I was about 13. Taught up until about 21 or so.
Where did you teach?
Long Island Traditional Taekwondo. It's in East Talcott now.
Very good. Yeah, my my son-in-law and his 2 kids both take not Taekwondo. What are they? Judo.
Judo, yeah.
Judo. Oh, very good.
That's good stuff.
So, what are you in now? You're in college.
Yes, I'm still in my reserve unit. I actually transferred. I was originally in the 328th out of Jersey City. Now I'm in the 306th out of Farmingdale. And I go to school full time. I do ROTC, and I'll be graduating in December and become a full-time officer.
In December of this
December
year?
of this year, yes.
Okay. And then you'll get commissioned at the same time.
I'll be commissioned, and hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll be active duty, and I'll be an engineer officer, go to Fort Leonard Wood again, and do my training there, and have a good time. So.
Have you thought about active duty, being sent to a combat area?
I've thought about it, and you know, it is what it is. I signed a piece of paper, and you know, I want to serve my country,
Right.
and I want to be in the fight. I want to be making a difference, and the reason I joined was because I wanted to help people. My grandpa came here from Argentina, and he had a hard time over there, and he came here, and he really appreciated what he had here. You know, so I draw from that, and I find that to be very inspirational to me. You know, where my family's come from and my background and all those different aspects.
Very good. What is your rank in the reserves?
In the reserves, I was a specialist. I was acting as a squad leader for a decent amount of time, and then when I joined ROTC, I was a cadet. So I was in the reserves still, but as a cadet.
Right.
And I served as a platoon leader in the reserves as a cadet. So I managed construction projects back with the 328th Engineered Company. That ranged from building roads to all sorts of different things, building log cabs and stuff, all sorts of different.
You can build a road? Did you say that?
Yeah. Well, we
You
were
mean dig up the soil and put down the concrete or whatever?
Yeah. I mean, as an officer, you do more of the management portion. So what I would do is I would build, we call them project boards, which, similar to the sand table, it's got all the information of what kind of equipment you need, how much fuel you're going to use, how many soldiers you're going to have, where your soldiers are going to be, how long your road is, all these really technical pieces, your
Right.
drainage plan, everything like that. I would, before drill, come up with all that information, display it nice and neatly, explain to my soldiers through my op orders what they were doing, have all that reference material. I'd give them their mission and they would execute. I mean, I started off as a construction, as an operator of equipment, and then transitioned into the management piece, and you know, served with a lot of really great people, learned a lot from my NCOs. That was the biggest portion.
I was going to ask you where you got your training for this.
Yeah. Mostly
It's all on the job training?
all on the job. I mean, I had a platoon Sergeant Harvey. He's actually deployed now. Sergeant T, she was my first ever squad leader. She's also deployed.
She.
Yeah.
You had a female
Female squad leader.
squad leader.
She's about 4'8". She's a Jersey City cop, and she's tough as hell.
Wow.
But, yeah, probably one of the best NCOs I know.
Oh, very good. Very good. What is the reason you're both here today? Is, well, number one was to find out what you did in the service, but number two is you have a race coming up.
Yes.
Can you tell me what that's about?
So this race, this is something really close to both of us. Basically, Jones Beach, we're going to be having a 5K on April 23rd, and it's to support. We're partnering up with Project 9 Line. They're a fantastic organization. I'm pretty sure Patrick was on the show.
Right.
Patrick was on this show before. What they do is they help to give a community, build that sense of community with veterans that are returning, veterans that are in the reserve, veterans of all different ages and backgrounds and so on. Give them a community that they can come together. And they do it through very different means, through songwriting, through MMA classes, through yoga, through all these outside of the box kind of ideas. I mean, when you think outside the box, you try to think of new things, but it's really more of you're making your box bigger. You're expanding how you can achieve a goal. So you're making your box bigger, you're figuring things out, and it's not necessarily a place you go if you need help. It's a place you go that you become part of a community. You become part of a family. You know people. So if you do need help, you have that friend you can lean on. A lot of times when people get out of the military, they don't have that support system anymore. they don't have that guy that they can call at 2, 3 a.m. and he'll be on the phone and he'll be listening to you and he'll really care. You know, people don't have that, and this gives them that opportunity. Project 9 I love what they do. They're local to Long Island. Patrick does a great job over there. So that's really what this race is inspired by. This race is inspired by helping Project 9 and ROTC, you know, our head instructor, Lieutenant Colonel Cederman, his command philosophy, the first tenet on there is taking care of soldiers. And my personal command philosophy that's still in development, the first thing on mine is taking care of soldiers. And Project 9 does that on the civilian side. And I think that's really just, I'm inspired by seeing the work that gets done with Project 9 and just how far they've come and how much further they're going to go. So this 5K is really about raising money for them and just having a good time. Having an environment where people can get together, run a race, be fit, you know, and just enjoy their time, enjoy their life, come together as a group. Later on, they're going to give you some more information as far as the phone number, so on and so forth. But really, this race is going to be a blast. Every time we do it, this is our third one. It's always like a party. You know, there's a DJ. This year we're going to have food. We're going to have all these different vendors that are going to be coming down. So it's like a party. It's a great time, and it's for families. It's for everybody. It's a very inclusive environment.
Very good. Now let me get this straight. The race is April 23rd, you said?
Yes, April 23rd at Jones Beach.
At Jones Beach?
Yes.
Okay. Parking lot? There's a lot of parking lots there.
Yeah. Field 5 is going to be where the primary parking is. That'll be covered through the race fee.
What time is the race?
The race will be, well, registration starts at 8 a.m. The actual race, the kickoff time is at 10 a.m. And we're going to have someone singing the national anthem. We're going to have, it's going to be a tremendous event. I mean, the way we've done it in the past, we've learned and we've grown, and just the possibilities of where we are, where we were, where we are, and where we can go they're limitless. And this race is really going to be, it's going to be a party. It's going to be an event. So I'm looking forward to it. I honestly can't wait for it. I mean, I need time to still get stuff ready, but I can't wait for it. It's going to be a blast.
You run yourself?
Yeah, I run. I mean, fast enough. But yeah, I'm not like a professional runner. I think I run fast.
You're running in this race?
For this race, yeah, I'll take my boots off and put on some PTs and go for a run and come back.
Very good. So. How long does it take you to run a 5K?
I haven't timed myself in a while.
Oh, I guess I can beat you then.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, very good. So this race is April 23rd?
Yes, April 23rd, Jones Beach, Field 5. The race kicks off at 10 a.m. Registration is just before that at 8 a.m.
That's 2 hours before the registration begins and the race.
Yes.
Can you get there less than 2 hours ahead of the race?
Yes, you can get there. That's when registration opens. So if you haven't registered on the website, then you can register at the event. I would suggest getting there anywhere between 8 and 10 o'clock.
Oh, fine.
Well, I'd say 8 and 9:30 because the race starts at 10, and we're going to have a ton of things. You got an Italian from Long Island, so we're going to make sure we have food there. You know, that's a no-brainer. So,
very good. Captain Blackwell, are you going to run in the race?
I plan on running,
okay.
So I don't know if I'll get as fast a time as yourself or Cadet Bursztyn, but I'll finish.
Okay. I wanted to ask you, Captain, were you married in the service?
Still am, yes.
You are?
So, yes, surprisingly enough, same person, same woman.
Okay,
so.
When did you get married?
Ooh, I better get this right.
I'm not asking for an anniversary.
Okay, 1990.
1990.
So I joined the Army in 1987, and I was married in
97, 107, 30 years.
Close to
You've
it.
been in the Army for 30 years?
Yes. Yes.
he looks young, I know.
Very good. I'm impressed.
It's all the good Army food. Preserves you.
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think the Army food was too well. Wow. we only have 5 minutes left. Is there anything you'd like to say?
I'm basically just reiterating what Cadet Bursztyn said. Everyone come on out. For our 5K, we're going to have a group of people with mats and teach you how to stretch, and going to have yoga out there. So even if you don't want to run, you just want to hang out, we're going to have displays out there from the New York Army National Guard. They're going to have vehicles out there. We're going to have an activity or two for the kids. We're going to have music. Once again, food, which is very, very important. I like to eat. So come on out, and if anything, just meet with all of us, and we'll talk and watch all the runners run. And if you want to run, feel free. So I'd like to see everybody out there.
This is the first year that we're actually going to be chipping the race. So
Chipping? What does chipping mean?
So chipping is they have a device that goes onto your bib, and they actually record your time. In the past, we've had just a timer.
Right.
And we've just been getting people's times, but this year it's going to be a chipped race. We're going to have awards for different classifications. So under 40, there's going to be first, second, third. Over 40, first, second, third, and there'll be a male and a female division for that. So it's going to be a good quality race, and every year it grows. It gets bigger and bigger and better and better. And Project 9 Line jumping on board, it's just,
Yeah.
it's a great thing.
Very good. Let me just ask you, before we wrap it up, what happens if you get a combat assignment in your field that you're going to go into? How can
So
what?
you get your duty station. So I'll find out where.
Suppose your duty station is Afghanistan or Iraq.
So the way that it works is your duty station is somewhere domestic. It's somewhere stateside, and then you deploy from there. So once you get your duty station, whether it's Georgia, New York, wherever it is, once you get your duty station and your unit is up for deployment, then you have what's called an orphagen cycle. You have how you go into training, and then once you're ready to deploy, you deploy from there. So with the reserves, it's usually a 5-year turnaround on. You come back, you get trained ready 1, 2, 3, available year, and then you deploy. With active duty, it's slightly shorter in time, and there's all sorts of different ways that works. But you can come in after commissioning, and you can go right into a unit that's about to deploy. So wherever you line up in that category, once you're done with your training, you could deploy right after you commission and you go through your school, or you can sit around for a couple of years and train in garrison, get to know your guys, and deploy. So you got to be ready at any minute.
Right. Are you when you get commissioned, when you graduate from college, are you staying in the reserve, or are you going active duty?
I'm currently trying to assess for active duty. I won't know if I made active duty or not until sometime in November. And if I get active duty, then I have to wait a couple more months to see whether or not I get the component I want. I want to be an engineer.
Right.
That's what I am now in the reserves. And if you don't get active duty, then you have to pick between reserve and National Guard, and then it's based on where you are. So, but either way you look at it,
Yeah.
it's a great opportunity. I mean, most 23-year-old young adults haven't gotten to manage construction projects and been to all sorts of different states and just
Right.
meet people from all over the place.
Very quickly, what kind of job are you doing on the side, or are you?
I go to school full time. I teach fitness classes actually,
Right.
and I work construction on the weekends and
You do.
keep busy. Yeah,
Okay.
keep very busy.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I hope you watched the show. We're on every week at the same time. Catch us on Cablevision. Thank you. Okay. Very good.
All
So
right.
we're done.
Very good.
You want to say
Yeah.
Zumba?
All right.
We
I
have
don't
options.
teach Zumba classes. So
Okay.
I teach fitness classes.